What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. So, listen, I want to talk about Jared Anderson. Now, he lost to Martin Bakoloe, who showed that he was just too much for Jared Anderson. Too much heart, too much power, lack of fear and respect for Jared Anderson's power and anything that he had coming back at him. Jared Anderson, basically, like I said, I made a video about the fight, and I made it known he has shown that he lacks heart, he lacks determination, he lacks the grit that he needs for this. Now, when I say heart, he doesn't have the heart to go in there and fight a smart, disciplined fight. It's like, I tell people, a lot of times a fighter quit without saying I quit and throwing in the towel. They quit by fighting in a stupid, desperate way. And it's like they just give up trying to do things the right way. But he doesn't have the mental toughness for this, man. Like I said, he's had certain fights with guys where they gave him a fight and they kind of went back and forth, but those guys didn't pose any real threat. See, he could overpower them. He couldn't do this with Martin Bakoloe, and he didn't have a second, third, or fourth, fifth gear to shift into. Now, that being said, right? Well, people were saying in comment sections, oh, he should have never took the fight. I'm like, what? And then I saw a video of Eddie Hearn saying he's only 24. He should have never taken this fight and this and this. It's like, okay. I think that's bullshit. Unless you're trying to be the king of fighting low-level guys, but running your mouth as if you're top level. Jared doesn't even do interviews. One-word answers. He doesn't have any real personality. He's very immature. And honestly, as a boxer, I don't even think people take him serious. I mean, I know after last night they don't. Here's where people are talking about him not taking a fight. Okay, so do you want the guy to move along, wait till he's about... And this is what's happening now. These guys move along, unheard of, go all these years, and then all of a sudden, by the time they're 28, 29, 30, now they start to get some recognition. So, if he shouldn't have fought Bakoloe, then who should he have fought? See, because, like Deontay Wilder, for example, it's easier to calculate Deontay shots. Deontay is one-dimensional, and you really know what's coming from Deontay. And he's a scrawny little guy. Deontay Wilder was supposed to be the guy. Deontay didn't make himself available, so they offered him Martin Bakoloe, and he took it. If he's not going to step up in competition, and you also got to understand, too, Martin Bakoloe don't have like 35, 40 fights. I think he like 20 fights or something like that. Or less than 20, or maybe 20. So they're like right there with each other, okay? And so my thing is, if you're going to be the best, then you fight the best. See, yet a lot of these same people try to discredit Floyd. And he was a champion by what, 21, 22? Ali, Tyson, again, Wilfredo Benitez, all of these guys, Devin Haney. But yet, a guy who's 24 years old, who claims he only wants to fight 2-3 years more, what's he going to wait? Fight Martin Bakoloe on his very last fight of his career? When was he supposed to fight Martin Bakoloe? So who should he have fought then? Who should he have fought that people would have cared? Not to mention, this is why when Eddie Hearn said it, I'm like, damn, Eddie, you do the most, I feel, for your promotion and Matchroom to get the best fights to the public. And this is on a card, okay? This is on a card, on a Saudi card. If you're going to be on a Saudi card, you're fighting nothing but the top guys. So for Eddie to even say that, I'm like, damn, Eddie, why would you even say some shit like that? I mean, you putting Edgar Berlanga in there with Canelo. So make that make sense. So, you're going to move your fighter along, put him in a bunch of junk fights, put a bunch of wear and tear on his body against a bunch of no-names, a bunch of unknowns, a bunch of people who are not worthy, But then you look at his record. Oh, he's 28 and with 25 knockouts and this and that. Well, who has he fought? And that's been the question about Jared Anderson for the longest time. And that's why, go back and look at the footage before the fight happened. And I said, I know what Jared needs to do to win. I don't know if Jared is good enough to deliver those things, though. So with him even being technically more savvy, he doesn't have the heart, the mindset, the understanding. He just doesn't. He just doesn't. And see, having heart means you're going to take chances, not stupidly, but you're going to take these chances to try to employ every skill that's necessary for you to employ, even if you're going to get caught. The possibility of you getting caught. How do I counter that? He tried to stay on the outside. He couldn't figure out how to get in. He couldn't even do basic shit. You understand what I'm saying? So, we always talk about the best fighting the best, but then when somebody gets in there and they fight a guy and they lose, then they shouldn't have taken the fight. Okay, what if he didn't knock Bakoloe out? Nobody would be saying that, right? What if Bakoloe would have, tore a bicep or something? Anything that would have happened. You know what Eddie Hearn would have said? See, but you never know what happens. Because if he'd have turned this fight down, not only does he lose money, but just think, he beats Martin Bakoloe. This puts him up. Like, you see, it's always a counter for a counter. It's just like it's funny, right? If you look at the Madrimov Crawford fight, it's funny how they had all these high praises for Crawford. Crawford this, Crawford that. But, I mean, is it Joel Diaz's trainer? Madrimov trainer was so pissed. He said the scorecards was crap. They won the fight. Come on, man. Definitely they think they won the fight. They didn't think Crawford did enough to take the title. Eddie Hearn wasn't happy with the 116, 112, and pretty much feel like they were just planning to not give dude a chance, right? But here's the funny thing, right? It's funny how people always talk about, they talk about coming to the States. It's like you're going to get robbed. Don't you know fighting in the States, being from the States, fighters get robbed regardless that they are from the States? Do you understand that? It's like, come on, man, y'all had all this high praise for Crawford at one point. Now all of a sudden, you guys are angry, you're pissed off, and you're saying all these things, but you know what? We've seen worse, okay? And you're not going to sit here and cry for one guy, but then you don't care when it happens to someone else, because that's pretty much the way that went down. But, I mean, just listening to that, I say, wow, do you really hear what's being said right here, right? Okay. Nobody can look at Madrimov and say he shouldn't never took the Crawford fight then. Oh, he only has 11 fights. No, so what? All before that, everybody was for it. No different. So for Jared Anderson, it's like, man, you got to step up at some point. And at 24 years old, like, so when is he going to be ready? Once again, here we come to 24. Like, do you know how many guys had as many fights as him and was already champion by the time they got to the amount of fights that he has and the age that he is, or even before that age? So when was he going to be ready? And who should he have fought then? And you know what? Here's my thing. At least now he knows how good he is, and he knows how good he isn't. Not only that, the public now knows. Because that was one of the biggest anticipated fights on there. I felt like if he fights smart, it wasn't necessarily going to be a super action-packed fight. Because I didn't see him winning the fight if he stood there and tried to bang with Bakoloe. And I felt like, but I felt like, because you're going to have to crack Bakoloe, though. You can't pit-pat with him. Okay, and looking at Jared Anderson's ability to see him do what I've already seen him do, that was my question. Like I said, I'm not sure he can do that. So for as long as it lasts, it was like that might be one of the fights too. That might be an action-packed fight. But for me, looking at Pitbull and Jose didn't go in there and try to bang with him like stupidly. He fought a smart fight. And like I said before, that's similar to what Jared Anderson needed to try to do against Bakoloe. Make him come in, when he starts to use your jab, step around, give him angles, because Bakoloe loved to throw that slap hook to the body and then come upstairs with it and then try to come down the pike on you. So like take those things away, because what people don't understand, Bakoloe beat you with the same formula. He fights everybody the same fucking way. He throws the same combination, the same punch every fight. He don't fight anybody different. He just come to try to get the timing down, see how you can land a shot. You know, watching how quick you are, what you react to, all that. Other than that, he just stands there. He fights everybody the same way. And yeah, that's what Anderson wasn't able to do. So, bottom line is, we could have been sitting here gassing up Anderson. He's this, he's that. Remember, I did the video, and somebody asked me in the comment section who I think the next heavyweight American champion is going to be. And I said, looking at the current crop of heavyweights, nobody. Did I not say that, y'all? I said, Deontay's on his way out. Look at his age. He's not going to be around too much longer. Michael Hunter is missing in action, right? I said, Jerel Miller, you know, there's just people that's just clearly better than he is. It's not going to be him. Jared Anderson doesn't have the hunger for boxing, so if you take your pick, I mean, the most you could do is say who you think is the better out of those guys. But in terms of the next big heavyweight, I said nobody. Looking at who we have right now. Was I wrong? So, yeah, Jared Anderson showed questions that we needed answered. He answered. Everything was answered last night. Everything. He's not that guy. Now, he's either going to pick himself up, dust himself off, get serious about boxing, really train, get better, lose that chip. Because he has a chip on his shoulder. Like, I can tell he like to do things his way. But until he loses that, and understand, man, you don't know every fucking thing. You need the help. That's why you brought Javon Sugar Hill in. He didn't listen to his corner, which he admitted. But he made it just sound like it was more like, oh, well, like, that's my choice. If I didn't want to listen, I didn't want to listen. That's what he might as well said. So when I listen to him speak and him talk about, most important, I'm just going to go home to my daughter. That's all I care about. Like, okay, so boxing is just about making some money to you. That's all. Well, guess what? Now with that loss, I don't know what you've been making per fight, but your stock isn't going to go up at all. It's going to go down. And for you to, you know, make sense for you to keep boxing, you're going to have to get serious about your craft. And if he doesn't do that, it's like, okay, because I feel like last night he pissed his whole boxing career down the drain. That's how I feel. Like last night he just showed everybody he's not serious about this shit. So unless he do a complete 360 turnaround, hey, listen, let's get focused, let's get ready. I'm on the job. I understand what this is. I get it. And I'm ready now. Because unless he does that, he's going to go in there. And who do you think, after seeing him not even be able to go past 5 rounds with Martin Bakoloe, what heavyweight do you think that he can actually beat? I mean, we've seen upsets happen. Yeah, things can happen. Yes. But, I mean, who do you just feel confident that Jared Anderson, top-level fighter, he can go in there and just beat? You know, so when I watched him and listened to him speak, he's like, yo, man, you strong as fuck, yo. And yeah, man, I'm happy to go on to my daughter, man. You know, most niggas coming in, they be 34, niggas coming in and all this. And I'm like, yeah. When you start doing all this extra explaining, that's all those things that you said wasn't even necessary. Bottom line, the better man won. Simple. You know, but he just sound as if it's just something to do. Well, nobody's going to pay you to just show up to the ring and not fight. Now, he fought back, don't get me wrong, he tried. But he didn't try to do anything different. Other than trying to, you know, fight southpaw, orthodox, switch up. Other than that, I mean, he couldn't figure anything out. And no matter what his corner was telling him, he wasn't listening. So, we have too many fighters, and this is one of the most disappointing things about a prospect, is because you talk up a good game, your corner talk up a good game, and then all of a sudden, you haven't had any real significant fights. It's just a difference. Compare Jerron Boots and his attitude to Jared Anderson's. Boots want to fight Crawford. He want to fight Spence. He wanted Keith Thurman. He want the top guys. Jared is just like, I don't care, man. Whoever they put me in the fight, I fight. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, boxing's the only thing, you know what I'm saying? I got other things I'm committed that I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to fight another 2, maybe 3 years, maybe. I you know, boxing, it's not my life. I don't love boxing, yo. He says this, complete opposite. Yet people treat Boots like he has Jarrett's mentality. But they're talking about Jarrett like, yo, Jarrett, I think he's going to do this and that. We'll see. Now we know that he can't. Do you think he beats AJ? You think he beats Joseph Parker? You think he beats Zhang? He might still be able to beat Wilder. He might still be able to beat Wilder. Like I said, Wilder's not a hard puzzle to solve. You know, might still beat Wilder. Probably beat Dillon White from what I've seen of Dillon White. Probably beat him. To be honest with you, Derek Chisora stylistically might give Jared Anderson problems. Just because of the pressure. But Del Boy is easy to hit. So he'd probably beat, I think he beat Del Boy in a fight much harder than it really should have been. Joe Joyce possibly beats Joe Joyce because Joe Joyce is just easy to hit. So he'll probably beat a Joe Joyce. Notice though, Del Boy is no longer top level. Dillon White, dude is not the same fighter, man. I don't, you know, from what I say, that he ain't fought on the top level. He hasn't looked top level for a while. So he probably can beat Dillon White because Dillon White looks washed up to me. Dubois smokes him. AJ smokes him. Usyk smokes him. Fury smokes him. You know, Parker, Zhang, they smoke him. Now, Jerel Miller no longer can throw 80 punches around. People can talk all that shit, but I'm like, man, this dude, he always said, 300 pounds, throw 80 punches around. You used to. You don't throw 80 punches around anymore. And that was one of the most effective thing about him was his pressure, okay, with his size. So my whole point is, yeah, that's the thing. Jared Anderson, if you're going to say he shouldn't have fought Bakoloe, then that means, well, put him in a bunch of junk fights. Let's tell everybody how great he is. Just for him to finally get the big fight and then choke. Basically. So I say that's bullshit that he shouldn't have took that fight. He just lost, that's all. And can you guarantee that he can fight somebody else and just not lose? Like, that's what part of his criticism has been for a while now. Hey, man, when you going to step up and fight some real competition? And the fact that he struggled with a washed-up Charles Martin, and people tell him, yo, but Martin got experience. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. He actually dominated the fight. But what I'm saying, there was times in there, Charles Martin was lighting his ass up at times with some good shots that he shouldn't have got hit with. So when I look at that, you know, I have to say, the fighters who's cut out for this in defeat will get back on their feet and find a way to win. They'll get back on their grind and understand, like, you know, I lost, but I'm back. That's all. Like I said, experience comes with defeat and victories. I just feel like with Jarrett, he doesn't absorb things the way he needs to. He got a chip on his shoulder, and he feel like whatever it is he's doing is more effective, or that's just what he feels more comfortable doing, but not what his corner's telling him. How do you take a fighter like that and bring them to a place where they become champ of the world? How do you do that? I mean, damn, Keyshawn Davidson has less fights than Jared Anderson, but damn, Keyshawn is always trying to fight someone. Always. So, that being said, yeah, I gotta call bullshit on that. I don't care Eddie Hearn and everybody else that's saying that. I gotta call bullshit on that. You know, and I know for Eddie Hearn being a promoter, if anything, that's what he's gonna say. Nah, man, you put him in fights with guys it's more closer to his level. But like who? Like who? You know, Frank Sanchez looked awful against, forget the guy's name. But, you know, I always had Frank Sanchez. He definitely is more skillful than Jared Anderson. I don't know what went wrong for Frank that night, but he got his ass whooped. But bottom line is, when you look at who's out there, that's my point, is what are you just gonna keep babying Jarrett? That's not gonna. You're gonna try to talk him into a big, lucrative, multi-million-dollar fight, and then what? When he loses, then what? So, yeah, people are saying things in a backwards way, man. I mean, these guys are talking about the best fighting the best, and then when they lose, they shouldn't have taken the fight. Come on, y'all gotta do better, man. You know, Eddie knows better than that shit, man. Like I said, he's putting Edgar Berlanga in there with Canelo, and he's talking about a guy who shouldn't have never took a particular fight. I don't know. I think Eddie Hearn probably feels some kind of way because he probably wanted to work with Jared Anderson and would have been able to protect him and cushion him in a way where he could have fought some guys, you know, that have, over in the UK, that have a nice following and aren't any real world beaters. You know, like maybe he could have gotten there with Fabio or Fraser Clark, you know, got it, maybe get him into fights with guys like that, you know, and then get that recognition over in the UK as well. And then guess what? Now, right here in the States, it's like, well, when we finally do put you in there with a Martin Bakoloe or AJ and you get this shit beat out of you, well, hey, at least you worked your way up into like really, really, really big paydays. You know, I don't think Eddie mean any harm when he's saying what he's saying, but that's bullshit though. No, you take the fight. Why shouldn't you take the fight? Okay? Remember, Queensberry swept Matchroom. People could say the same thing. Y'all should have took those fights. Nobody on this team won. Nobody. People were saying Wilder shouldn't have fought Zhang. Why? Who was Wilder going to fight? That's what people fail to realize. Wilder understood this. And you know what? I respect his decision, whether he was forced into it or however it happened, you know, but for taking the fight with Zhang, for one, you're a former champion of the world. Then two, you cannot lose to a B, A-level, B-level guy and then go fight a D-level, E, F-level dude and then think that puts you back in the title shot picture. Like, no. No, and that doesn't boost your confidence. You fought a guy that you know you could beat. You know wasn't on the level. Now when you got to go in there and fight someone that you know pose a huge threat, they're a bigger threat to you than you are to them. That doesn't make you feel better knowing, damn, this guy that I just beat last was a straight bum. Now I'm in here with a killer. So the suggestion that Wilder was given, take 2 easy fights, get your confidence back, is like you see, huge misconception. You do not get your confidence back by beating bums. You get false confidence, then you get back in there, and as soon as you start getting your ass tagged again, deja vu. Here, I'm getting my ass kicked again. I already know how this is going to end. Down goes Wilder. Down goes Wilder. That's what ended up happening. Wilder knew what he had to do. He just wasn't able to go in there and get it done against Zhang. But he knew what he had to do, and he knew what he had to do to get that money. You can't look at it and say, man, Wilder shouldn't have fought Zhang. Okay, then who should Wilder have fought? I mean, if not Zhang, or rematch with Parker. Otherwise, then just admit, I don't have a heart for this. I'm not as good as these guys. I'm trying to fight lesser competition. Simple. Remember when AJ fought Franklin? It was funny because Dillon White fought him first, and then Franklin got a lot of respect. A whole lot of people thought he beat Dillon White. And they said it was a good fight, real good fight. They salute both dudes, right? And then it's funny because Franklin fights AJ, and then people criticize AJ, yet Dillon White got the decision but struggled like a motherfucker. AJ clearly won. But they criticize AJ and praise White. Look at where AJ is right now, and look at where White is right now. So it's weird how people look at things, but yeah. Nah, I'm not trying to hear that bullshit about he should have took that fight. He absolutely should have took that fight. He absolutely should have took that fight. What he shouldn't have taken, okay, is he shouldn't have taken boxing for a joke. That's what he shouldn't have taken. He should have took this shit more serious and understand where he is and why he's there. Now, it's going to be a bitch for him to get his confidence back. Because for him His next fight is not going to be a big fight. He's going to go right back to fighting the same type of competition that he's been fighting. And then what? Alright, y'all. Back to this video. You know, he got bears and shit out here. I just heard something big move. I'm like, yo, let me go down here and see what's fucking around my... Alright. We good, though. Alright. So, yeah. Yeah, you take that fight. See, I just saw some live, almost what I thought shit was about to get live. I just see movement. And I'm like, oh, shit. Fuck. Spotlight came on. Let's go. Let's go. Alright. Then I'd have to edit that out. I couldn't post me, you know. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, you don't turn down the fights, man. Now, if he would have, first off, it was made public that they offered Wilder to him. What excuse would Jared Anderson give the public if he would have turned down a fight with Bakoloe? What would his excuse have been? Now imagine, he was down to fight Wilder, right? Wilder didn't want to take the fight. So imagine if he turns down the Bakoloe fight. What is he going to say? Oh, Bakole's not on my level? No. Then it looks like, okay, first off, Wilder had to win against Zane. And we still don't know what Wilder plans would have been afterwards. But what would he have told the public? Unless he's just going to say, hey, man, look, I don't know if I'm ready for a challenge like Bakoloe yet. Give me another year or two. Nah, Jared, you said you don't want to fight, but it's 2, maybe 3 more years. How much more time do you need? So you going to save up all this and try to rack up wins just to fight a top guy and then retire instead of fighting for a championship, trying to become champ of the world? Make that make sense. So, yeah. And not to mention, come on, man. You just put Madrimov in there with Crawford. He only has 10 pro fights. Okay? When you see a guy like Marvis Fraser fight Larry Holmes, and his father Joe says, well, you never know if you're going to ever get another opportunity to fight for the heavyweight champ of the world, so we just took the fight. Because Marvis definitely wasn't ready. Marvis wasn't even ready for Tyson. And bottom line with that was Tyson was going to come up then. So there's a lot of fights you can look at and say, oh, this guy shouldn't have took that fight. And, you know, pretty much Marvis Fraser got recognition from his dad, you know, being the son of Joe. And so when he got in after this 10 fight with Larry, he's like, nah, he's definitely not ready. He's definitely not what his father was. And so he's dealing with that. What do you do with Jared Anderson? Nah, we're not going to take Bakoloe. We're going to fight a lesser opponent. And then do what? Then what? That's what I say, man. I don't know. People flip-flop with these answers, man. 1 minute, y'all want to see the best fight the best. The next minute, you know, you're putting guys in. How many people think Edgar Berlanga has a chance to really have a chance to really beat Canelo? Right? So, just saying, you know, and he's talking extremely confident in him. He was extremely confident in Madrimov. You know, and listen, bottom line, y'all, things are not always going to go the way you want them to. Once again, if he wins the fight, nobody's saying he shouldn't have took it. They'll say he was smart for taking it. Look at what happened. Simple. So, yeah, man, we got to stop all this turning fights down, but then talking shit. Do like Muhammad Ali did. Like he said, oh, right now, I don't think I'm ready to fight Sonny Liston right now, Floyd Patterson. Another year or two and I'll be ready. Nothing, no harm in saying that. None. No harm in that. Now, if Ali would have sat there and said something like, man, they ain't on my level, man, or hey, they don't want to fight, man, I'm this, I'm that, yet you're the one avoiding the fights. Then what? So, no. When Ali was ready, he was ready. And he went in there and he did the damn thing, and he destroyed both of them. That's all. So, the fact that people are changing up their story now, he shouldn't take the fight. Nah. And I believe, too, why Eddie said that, too, is just like I said, I think Jared Anderson pissed his whole career down the drain last night. And it's not just because he lost, but all the shit he said afterwards, man. And honestly, man, Jared Anderson is 24, but he's immature like a teenager, man. Like, I'm talking like a 14, 15-year-old. He has like a child's type of type of character about himself. You know, people are interviewing you, man. This is a chance for you to show your face. You tell him he just nothing to really say. He doesn't even know. He doesn't know how to do interviews, man. He's not. He doesn't have any personality. All that smiling and dancing and shit don't mean nothing. That's just goofy shit. Like he has no real personality. There's nothing about Jerel Anderson that draws you into him. He used to come out dressed like a pimp and all this kind of silly shit and stuff that he does. But like, I mean, you know, that's part of an appeal. But you got to get it done in the ring. So yeah, he took the fight. Salute. But he's not built for this. Now is a good time to go into your rapping career, whatever it is you want to do. I don't think he knows how to change towards this because I feel like he made his mind up that boxing is not for him. And if anything, he'll probably get more discouraged than anything else. But we'll see. We'll see. But he's going to have to change his ways, stop being stubborn and hard-headed, and learn how to take direction and understand boxing. Part of the problem with these fighters, they don't study boxing anymore. They don't go back and do film study. Nothing. They don't care. They just think that they are the begin-all, end-all of what boxing is, and they don't take it serious. That's my thoughts on Jerel Anderson. He's just not built for this shit. Not for primetime boxing. He's not for the top level. This shit is just not in him. Like I said, if your heart's not in it, you'll quit when things get too tough. And pretty much he showed that he doesn't have any real solid ring IQ. He's used to fights going a certain way. There's a certain level of fighters he'll dig down and bang with. But when he has to do anything different, you know, we used to hear Errol Spence say that shit. I could box and jab and move and all that, but that's boring to me, you know. And remember, I said I don't like that coming from Spence. Because what people fail to realize, that's a lack of discipline. That's nothing to be proud of. And when he went in there against Crawford, well, he showed you he didn't know how to do anything else. And how did that work out for him? Talk to me in the comment section, y'all. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.